Mark Wilkins from the Cloud Thingy checking in. I hope you're having a swell day. Let's talk about one of the sneakiest traps on the AWS certificate exam, specifically Architect Associate. This concept trips up so many people. It's the subtle difference between provisioning and operating. And honestly, spotting it can be the single reason you pass or fail a particular test question, or the entire exam. You've probably been in this spot. You've studied for weeks. You know all the services inside and out. You know CloudFormation. You know Systems Manager. And then you hit a certain question. And two, maybe even three of the answers seem totally plausible. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, here's the secret. The key isn't about memorizing more technical details. It's about understanding one simple thing. The intent behind the question that's tripping you up. Are they asking you to create something new, or are they asking you to maintain something that's already there? That's it. That one word in the test question changes everything. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll expose this exam trap. Then we'll clearly define provision versus operate. And after that, we'll walk through two test questions to see this in action. And then we'll finish up with a simple cheat sheet you can use for your own studies. Okay, what is this exam trap exactly? It's when the exam gives you an answer that uses a perfectly good AWS service, but for all the wrong reasons. Test writers love to dangle a provisioning solution, something like a rolling update, in front of you for what it is, at its core, an operational problem. To avoid this trap, you need to get crystal clear on these two core ideas, provisioning and operating. It's really that simple. Provisioning is all about creating, deploying, and building new stuff. Operating is all about maintaining, patching, and managing the stuff that already exists. You can just think of it as building the house versus living in the house. A perfect example of provisioning? Using a CloudFormation template to spin up a whole new environment from absolutely nothing. You're creating an auto-scaling group, load balancers, the whole shebang. The key word is new. And on the flip side, operating is what happens after everything is up and running. Think about using AWS Systems Manager to go in and apply security patches to your EC2 instances while they're live without destroying them. The key word there is existing. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's see how this plays out on an exam question. This question is a classic one that's all about understanding the operational intent. Okay, so the scenario wants us to patch our instances, but you've got to read the fine print. We need to be able to audit patch status, and here it is, the big clue. The solution must not replace the infrastructure. That's a massive hint about what they're looking for. And here are our options. Now, notice how A and D, they sound pretty advanced, right? They're talking about templates and rolling updates. B seems a little more straightforward, and C is kind of the do-it-yourself approach. So take a moment. Which one is about maintaining what's already there? And the answer is B. Why? Because Systems Manager Patch Manager was literally built for this task. It's a pure operational tool. It patches the instances right where they are in place, and it gives you that audit trail. And most importantly, it follows that critical do not replace rule. Now, let's talk about the trap. Option A. Option A, rolling updates, sounds like you're just managing things, right? But you're not. Rolling update works by killing your old instances and spinning up new ones to replace them. That is a provisioning action. It replaces infrastructure, which is exactly what the question told us not to do. Okay, let's lock this in. We're going to flip the script now and look at a question where the intent is clearly about provisioning. The keywords just jump off the page here, don't they? new application, for the first time, consistently, repeatable, version controlled. No resources currently exist. This question is basically screaming, build me something from scratch. So with those requirements in mind, which of these options is the king of creating new repeatable version-controlled infrastructure? It's A. CloudFormation is the poster child for infrastructure as code at AWS. It was built from the ground up to do exactly this task. Provision resources from a template, make sure it's the same every single time, and you can check it into version control. It's a perfect match for the intent, and this really highlights why the others are wrong. B and D answers are operational tools. They manage things that are already running. And C, creating things by hand in the console? Well, that fails the repeatable and version control tests, which are huge red flags on any AWS exam. Now that you've seen the pattern, let's boil this all down into a super simple cheat sheet that you can use to spot these traps from a mile away. This right here is the key. You have to remember things like rolling updates or deploying new golden AMIs. They feel like they're just operating the system, but because they replace instances, they are provisioning actions. Patch Manager is one of the true operational tools for this kind of task. And so here's a rule of thumb to burn into your brain. If the scenario is starting from zero, a total blank slate, and you see words like consistency, repeatability, or version control, your mind should just snap right to CloudFormation, because it's almost always the answer. So let's end with a simple analogy. Think of provisioning as the road crew that built the entire concert stage before the band even shows up. And operations? That's like the sound tech running the mixing board during the concert, making adjustments, fixing problems, and making sure the show goes on without a hitch. Two totally different jobs with two totally different intents. Once you start looking at exam questions through this lens of intent, you'll start to see these patterns everywhere. The trick is to stop asking just what a service does and start asking what the question wants you to do. What other hidden intents are you going to spot now?